What's going on, friends? Choosing an exhaust system for your Harley-Davidson motorcycle, this is a very personal choice. Now, I personally can't tell you what is the absolute best exhaust for your Harley-Davidson, but what I can do is I can give you all the information and all the tools to make the best decision possible for what fits you, your personality, your motorcycle, and what you feel is going to look best, sound the best, and obviously perform the best on your own Harley-Davidson. In the end, the right exhaust system for your Harley-Davidson motorcycle is the one that you think looks the best and meets the performance goals that you're looking to achieve. There's a lot of considerations to make that go into the style, the brand, and the performance aspect of what you're looking for your Harley-Davidson motorcycle when it comes to the exhaust system. And honestly, one of the hardest decisions that you're going to make in choosing an exhaust system is having to choose between the looks you want and the performance that you need. A lot of times, the best looking exhaust system that you love is not really going to produce the power that you're looking to get out of your Harley-Davidson motor. But on the other hand, sometimes the best performing exhaust system for your motorcycle is the absolute ugliest thing you've ever seen, and you might even feel that it completely ruins the look of the bike. This is the struggle that we're going to get into today. A perfect example of this is when it comes to the touring bikes. The absolute best performing exhaust system that you could put on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle is a 2-in-1. 2-in-1s don't really fit on touring bikes, in a lot of people's opinions, because it ruins that look of the dual exhaust coming out the back underneath the bags. But there's a solution for that too, and we'll get into that a little later in the video. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, we can sum up exhaust systems for Harley-Davidsons into 3 different categories. One being the slip-on exhaust with the factory header. This is an excellent option, but maybe not so much for the touring bikes, and we'll talk about that a little later on. The second option is going to be the 2-in-2 exhaust. Everybody loves the sound of the 2-in-2. They also love the look of the 2-in-2, but the 2-in-2 exhaust may not be exactly what's best for performance. And then there is the 2-in-1. 2-in-1s look good, but they really do kind of change the sound from what we're used to with those 2-in-2 exhausts. Now, whether you love it or you hate it, they do sound a little bit different. But honestly, at the end of the day, the 2-in-1 exhaust really comes out on top as the biggest performing exhaust system out there. Now, you're probably starting to notice a pattern here. Exhaust systems are really a big compromise, and the first thing that you have to decide what is most important to you is it the looks or getting the absolute most performance out of all the modifications you've done to your motorcycle. Now, I really hate to do this to you after all that being said, but I've got to throw a curveball at you when it comes to exhaust systems. This really kind of changes things up quite a bit. How loud or quiet you want your exhaust system to be, this has a very profound effect on the performance of your motorcycle. Baffles in your exhaust system make a huge difference in how your motorcycle is going to perform. The quiet baffles, these are excellent for torque, but you're going to give up some horsepower up on the top end. Competition baffles, these increase your top end horsepower at the expense of your low end torque. It's not really a huge difference, but it will be somewhat noticeable to you, especially if you're riding a bigger bike or you're carrying around a lot of weight. Competition baffles increase that sound, increase horsepower on top, but they cut the torque down low. Now, there is the standard baffle, which is generally what most aftermarket exhaust systems are going to come with, and that size will vary depending on the manufacturer. But the standard baffles are really designed to be kind of that midpoint between the quiet baffles and the competition baffles. You get decent sound, you get decent low-end torque, and you get decent top-end power. This is just really one big compromise between the two. Now, the absolute worst thing you can do for performance, if you want the exhaust loud, you can pull the baffles out. But if you do that, you're really going to kill your low-end and your mid-range, and you're also going to kill some of your top-end horsepower. The only benefit that pulling the baffles out has performance-wise is that you're going to get absolute top-end horsepower at wide open throttle. That's the only place you're going to see it, and I don't know about you, but I don't ride around on the street wide open all the time. Harley-Davidson's factory header is actually a lot better than many people believe. The factory header paired with a nice set of performance aftermarket slip-ons is actually an extremely good exhaust system, especially with that crossover in there. Now, this brings me to the touring bikes. The touring bike's head pipe is not actually bad, but it does have a catalytic converter in it, as many of you know. And the placement of that catalytic converter does generate a lot of heat, and it's right there down by your leg. Now, Harley-Davidson has relocated it from up in the top of the head pipe down to the bottom, and honestly, the catalytic converter in a touring bike isn't really a bad thing at all. The catalytic converter does help create a little bit of restriction. It does knock the sound down on the touring bikes, but that also helps you increase your torque, even if you're just running a set of aftermarket slip-ons on a touring motorcycle. And as we all know, the touring bikes being big and heavy, torque is king, so that catalytic converter does kind of help you out there. Now, on a touring motorcycle, that leaves you with basically two options if you don't want to run that cat. One, you could gut that head pipe, cut that catalytic converter out of there, and weld it back up. And the other option is just to straight up go with a full aftermarket exhaust system of your choice. Now, for touring bike guys, as I mentioned, the 2-in-1 is the absolute pinnacle of performance, but 2-in-1s really ruin the dual exhaust look that the touring bikes are known for. But, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there is a solution for this, and that solution is some companies like D&D have a very formidable 2-in-1 exhaust system that is high performing, but you don't lose the look of the dual exhaust because they also have a fake exhaust pipe and muffler to go underneath the left side bag. Yes, it has a fake crossover pipe and a fake muffler to mount under the left side, which helps you retain the look and still gives you the performance of a 2-in-1. And the only time somebody is actually going to notice this is if they know what a 2-in-1 sounds like. They're going to know you have that dummy pipe under there. We all love the look and sound of the 2-in-2 exhaust on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The issue with the aftermarket 2-in-2 exhaust is that a lot of them, they do not have a crossover. This isn't exactly the best thing for performance. The crossover actually connects both exhaust pipes together. This equalizes the pressure between both cylinders and allows both cylinders to actually use either exhaust pipe. This is very, very helpful, and it almost mimics the performance of a 2-in-1. It's pretty dang close. A 2-in-2 system with a crossover gives you that look and sound of the 2-in-2, but it also gives you somewhat close to that performance of the 2-in-1. And a lot of times the 2-in-1 exhaust, just my opinion, depending on the manufacturer, they can sound kind of a little muddy when it comes to a Harley-Davidson at idle. In my opinion, one of the best bangs for the buck for performance, if you can stand the looks. I know a lot of people don't like the look of the factory Harley-Davidson exhaust system, even if it has aftermarket slip-ons on it. But aftermarket slip-ons paired with the factory header, these are almost as good as a 2-in-1, and they can achieve some really excellent performance at a much lower cost than going out and buying an actual 2-in-1 exhaust. We're talking the difference on anything but a touring motorcycle. We're looking at roughly about $500 worth versus upward of $8, $9, $10, maybe $1,200. Your number one priority with trying to figure out what exhaust system you want to run is you have got to decide what is important. Do you like straight up looks? Do you want all out performance? Or are you willing to compromise a little bit? Once you have that figured out and you decide what style of exhaust you want to go with, then you can start choosing what kind of baffles you want. Do you want it quieter for more torque? Do you want to fall in the middle? Or do you want to go with something like a competition baffle? Have it a little louder, lose a little bottom end, gain a little mid-range and top end? Or do you just want to pull the baffles out, have the loudest exhaust system you could possibly have, and not even worry about performance? And remember that your exhaust system is going to determine the performance that you are going to get out of any other modifications you do to your motorcycle. Whether you're looking at putting cams in, big bore kits, increasing compression, getting head work done, putting a stroker in, this is all going to be a factor when it comes to your exhaust. So it is very important to plan for the future and only have to buy one exhaust system. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting the one that you think you're going to want and then getting all this other work done to your motorcycle, and then later on deciding, you know what, maybe I want to go to a 2-to-1. I want to get just a little extra power out of it. I can deal with the look, I can deal with the sound. Once again, that's a personal choice, and that's going to be completely up to you. But just remember that the exhaust system that you choose is going to determine the performance and the output of every other modification on the bike from there forward. So choose wisely in the beginning. Guys, I want to know what exhaust system setups you're running on your motorcycle. Do you like the 2-in-2s? Do you like the 2-in-1s? Do you just prefer a factory header with some slip-ons? Let us know in the comments. I want to know what you guys are running. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. Please don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. But until next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars, and I'll catch you back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.